Hello, welcome to episode 111 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1001 movies you must see before you die. I just thought of Bilbo then. It's my 111th birthday. I'm 11-1 today. Anyway, Poltergeist, 1982. That was a weird intro. This is an interesting film because it was directed by Tobe Hooper, who directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which we talked about earlier on in Horror Month 2016. And it is a completely different film to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I guess that the people making this film, Poltergeist, they liked what they saw with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's why Tobe Hooper got the job. But it is a Steven Spielberg film through and through. He wrote the film, he produced the film, and there is quite a bit of dispute over whether he even directed the film, because he was contractually unable to direct the film, because he was already making E.T. at the time. And I'm pretty sure it was filmed around the same area as well as E.T. So 1982 was like the summer of Spielberg, because Poltergeist and E.T. came out within like a week of each other. It's crazy. And there's been conflicting reports, you know, some people downplaying it. You know, Spielberg said about Tobe Hooper's directing, he says, well, Spielberg said that if there's a problem on set, or there's a problem, right, what do we do next? So he would jump in and say, how about this? And Tobe Hooper would just go, yeah, and nod and agree. And so then people took Spielberg's comments out of context. He had to write like a public letter to Tobe Hooper, kind of apologizing. It's kind of grey waters with this. And the woman who plays the, what's her name in the film? The short woman in the end of the film.
I don't know what her name is.
I have no idea what her name is, but the actress' name is Zelda Rubinstein. And she did an interview where she said that the 6 days that she was on set the whole time, Spielberg directed all of it. And so, you know, yeah, there's conflicting reports, but to me it is kind of a Spielberg film. But nonetheless, Tobe Hooper was credited with directing it. Now let's talk about the film. And I'm sorry for the preamble, but it's just something I had to touch on because I find it very interesting. And it does feel like a real Spielberg film. It has that touch to it. And it's about this family living in this kind of idyllic Californian, it looks like, neighborhood. Very, very similar. I think it was, again, filmed in the same area as E.T., so you can kind of imagine that if you haven't seen Poltergeist. And the house starts to be haunted. There's some strange things going on, which reveals itself in different ways, in ways that are fun and interesting and exciting at first, but then become quite rapidly more sinister, to the point where their youngest daughter is kind of sucked into this other realm where they can't reach her. She's in the house, but she's not in...
She's in the upside down, basically.
She's in the upside down.
But she's still in the house.
She's still in the house, but she's not in their realm of... their plane, their dimensional plane, however you want to put it, however you want to interpret it.
The upside down.
And... well, you can say that the upside down could kind of be drawn from Poltergeist in many ways. A lot of people look at Stranger Things and say it takes from every single 80s film, but but they can hear their daughter through the television set and through the white noise and the static, which is an interesting device to kind of have some communication with their daughter throughout the film, because the whole film is about them trying to get their daughter back into their world.
Maybe that's where they got the idea for white noise as well.
Yeah, I suppose so. Well, there's been lots of like kind of people believe that there's actually something in that static and in that white noise, but that's a whole other thing. The film itself, we watched it for the first time 2 years ago. I think it's safe to say we loved it. Yeah. Last year we watched the sequel, which was alright. I can barely remember. I can remember bits about it. The creepy old man in it, and I remember what happens at the end. But apart from that, it was fairly forgettable. And we also watched the... Did you watch the remake? There was a remake that came out last year with Sam Rockwell. Either way, I watched it. I think I watched it with my mum, but it was really unmemorable. It was a film that didn't need to be remade and just did nothing to further the story or do it in a better way or anything like that. I just thought it was so pointless. I mean, it wasn't bad, you know. It just... it was nowhere near the original. Anyway, let's talk about the original, right?
Please.
Yeah, we watched it last night. What did you think?
Well, I remember really liking it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe... well, the other movies that we've seen that's been years ago since we watched, I didn't really like. So I'm glad that I liked it 2 years ago as well, and I really liked it now. I don't understand why people are trashing it the way they are, considering it's from '82. I think it's really, really well made. Considering it's supposed to be from the director who made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think it's fucking brilliant. Because the acting is really good.
Yes.
Throughout most of the movie.
Yes.
I mean, the girl's fairly good too, to be so young.
Yeah, the young girl Heather O'Rourke was very good as the main kind of focal point of the film. This young girl, and she was. There's just really fun. What's that bit at the beginning where the kids are kind of having a little fight at the breakfast table, and they're just kind of calling each other names, and she calls them like a doggy bag poopy head or something, and her face looks like she's so happy with herself when she's like, "You're a poopy face." Like she just seems like a normal kid, you know. She doesn't seem like she's acting, and yeah, I think she does really well. And yeah,
I think the mom, especially,
she is
really,
incredible.
really, really
I mean, it's not going to win an Oscar or anything, but I think that role, played by JoBeth Williams, the mother of the family, is a really tricky role because for most of the film she's got to be very upset and conflicted and torn, but she has to show a kind of a calmer side for her other kids, and you know, there's just so much she has to do, and I think that she's so believable in all of those extremely emotional moments in the film. She just pulls it off incredible, and that's the thing I think about this film, is that it's got good acting in it. A lot of horror films, I've talked about it before, I'll say it again, they'll have the horror element down, but then the acting doesn't really match it, you know. But with this film, it's on level, and the father, played by Craig T. Nelson, I believe is the actor's name. I really liked him as the father of the family. The eldest daughter, she isn't really in the film that much. There are periods where she just kind of leaves, and she was okay. And I have to talk about this, I guess. It's always weird for me to watch this film knowing the events of real life. The actress who played the eldest daughter, Dominique Dunne, I believe was her name, she was murdered the year of this film's release. And I believe it was to do with her boyfriend, and so whenever she goes off in the movie to see her boyfriend, it's always some kind of like a weird kind of parallel going on there that's kind of haunting to me. And then the young girl, Heather O'Rourke, she appeared in Poltergeist 2 and 3, and I believe around the time of the third film she died at the age of 12. So people think that the film series is cursed. To me it's just a really sad, set of events that just happened to be coincidental.
If even more of the actors would have gotten killed, then sure, I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah.
But
so it always goes through my mind watching this film. There's always just a sliver of sadness within me when I watch it, because I really like the young girl in the film, but I always think like it's just so heartbreaking that she never grew up.
I think she would have grown up to be a great actress.
Could have been, but I mean, just that's the least of it. Just that she didn't have a full life, in general. Forget acting; it's just a shame. Anyway, moving off of that, I like all the ghostly effects.
The practical effects as well, the makeup.
Their girl is gone. They don't tell the police that no one's going to believe them. So they go to this local university, I believe, and they bring in these kind of paranormal investigators to kind of check out everything that's going on. There's a great scene where one of the guys is like, he's like, yeah, I monitored this matchbox car that moved across the floor of a room. It took 7 hours, and we got it on like time-lapse photography and stuff. And he's like bragging about this thing, He's like, yeah, you never see it on the naked eye, but it moved across the whole room over 7 hours. And the dad's just like, yeah, check this out. He opens the door and all the stuff in the bedroom is flying around. And it's just like, there's some really funny moments in the film too. It has the humor.
Yeah, I like that part, and right after that, they're sitting around the table, and the lady in the group is obviously spooked. She's shaking and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's trying to talk, and then the coffee can or whatever just zoof moves across the table, and they just go silent, and then they look at it.
Yeah.
And then the guys start looking under the table and stuff, and I just find those little things funny. Like, it's almost like the kind of humor they have now, where something happens and everybody's silent before they act again.
Yeah.
And also, near the end, this medium is supposed to go into the other realm.
Yeah.
And get the girl, and the mom says, "No, let me go. No, you've never done this before. Well, neither have you. And she's like, you're right, you should do it, the medium says. And that's the kind of stuff that they would do now in movies.
But there's a pause as well. She's like,
yeah.
She's like, you've never done this before, neither have you.
You're right.
You're right.
Yeah, it's like, damn, you're right. What am I doing?
And she's a memorable part of the film too, Zelda Rubinstein, this short woman with a very strange and unique voice who comes in to kind of deal with it. You know, she's kind of the professional in a way. And I really like her character in the film, and she's definitely one of those kind of characters that stands out just because of her unique look, her unique sound, and obviously she became iconic with this role in this film series. And what else? The young boy was pretty good, you know.
He's alright.
Yeah, not amazing, but you know he served the role well. I liked how the young boy had like just shit tons of like Star Wars memorabilia, like throughout the entire film. Star Wars bed sheets, Darth Vader poster. He's got toys on the thing. He sleeps.
Alien poster.
He sleeps with Yoda next to him. He's got Han Solo's blaster, C-3PO light switch, and it's like, oh look, they're referencing Star Wars. It's like, well, no, that's what a kid growing up in 1981, 1982 would have. He'd have Star Wars up the ass all over the place.
They got it nowadays, you know.
Yeah, I was saying that because he's sitting there reading the Captain America magazine. I was like, oh, the kid's interested in Captain America and Star Wars, just like the kids in 2016.
Yeah, I bet they never thought that would happen.
It comes back around. It comes back around.
It's like 34 years later, the interests are the same.
Right, I was going to say, I don't know if it's a criticism, but I like all the effects. Like, there's a great shot where like the chairs have been moved away from the kitchen table, and so the mom pushes them all in. She goes over to another part of the kitchen, the camera turns, it comes back, and they're all up on top of the thing. Reminds me of The Sixth Sense, there's a scene in that with the drawers and stuff. Little things like that, like a nicely done like in-camera practical effects. Then there's stuff that's like...
They must have been so fast doing that.
And then there's things like compositing, you know, like the slightly quasi-digital effects, and I think some of them hold up quite well. Some of them don't, but they're impressive because of the time, of 1982. But there's this one scene where one of the paranormal investigators comes into the house and he's like, oh, I'm going to go get some food. And he just grabs a steak from the fridge, which I find quite odd. He slabs it down on the kitchen counter, and then like it starts, like stuff starts coming out of it and stuff, and it starts moving.
First it goes like a caterpillar across the counter, and then it starts...
So whatever's going on is getting inside his head, and he's hallucinating or something. So he goes... So he goes into the bathroom. And he looks at his face, and he turns the light on, the light turns red, and he starts peeling his face off, and it's this gruesome practical effect that's like almost like something out of The Thing or something. He's pulling his bits of his face off, and the skull's coming out. And I just think it was nicely done, but it just seemed a bit too much. Like, it seemed like it didn't fit the movie. It felt like it was going overboard. It was just doing it for the sake of it, and I don't know why, if he saw something on his face, he would try and pull his face off.
He had a cut on his face, and that's why he started, and then it started falling apart.
I suppose, yeah. There's just again.
It's like The Fly.
It was, yeah, but that fit within the movie.
Terminator.
Yeah, and that fit within the movie as well. I just felt like it was just thrown in there to be impressive, and it didn't. You know what I mean?
No, because the ghost was messing with his head.
I know, but
and
like.
So normally you wouldn't do that. You would try and hold it together. You know, you wouldn't start peeling your face off.
It was just a very horrific kind of moment of gore that didn't seem to be in tone with the rest of it.
It led to him not coming back.
Oh sure, yeah, but I mean, I don't know.
Because the woman said, "Oh, he won't be coming back, but I will."
Yeah.
And you understand why he's not coming back at that point. But yeah, sure.
And yeah, so I mean, there's not much more to go into without going into spoilers, really. And I don't want to talk about the ending too much, but I just love the film. I love the film. I love the characters. You kind of you like the family, and so you want them to resolve everything, and so that's what it's down to, is the characters. And the fact that it's it's shot well, and it has good special effects, and
I think it builds up well as well, because the last scary part that happens in the movie, it's like they've been saving everything for the end. It's like New Year's Eve, and you start off with the small rocket stuff, and then you only have like one left, and you're saving the big bang for the last one. And that's what see, I'm making yawn now. I got like 3 stored up right now. They have a pool they're working on outside.
Yeah.
And there's a storm outside, it's raining and everything like that, and so everything's really muddy.
Yeah.
and the mom falls into the pool, and
she's trying to climb out again.
she's trying to climb out, and things start coming out of the pool. I'm not going to say what.
Yeah.
But it's terrifying because you try to think like, well, what if I was in there? I would freak out. And then you try to claw your way out, and it's like a bad dream because you can barely move. And then you slide back into the freaking pool. And it's just... Yeah, I think that scene is probably the most terrifying scene, except for the clown scene.
Clown scene.
I hate.
We'll leave it at that. But towards the end, they just they saved the best till last in terms of like it's a massive ending, you know, and I think it's great. I just love how it escalates, it builds, and it's almost like a song, you know, and then it stops for a bit. It gives you a bit of a breather. You think maybe that's it, and then it just keeps going again. And all the supernatural stuff is great. And it's a great film. It's a really great film. I don't know how scary it is. I think it probably scares a lot of people, but it's just an enjoyable film, regardless of how scary it is or whatever. And it's one that I really, really enjoy. It's like almost 2 hours long. It feels a lot shorter. It just really moves along. So, you know.
Scary movies usually do.
I suppose. And yeah, not much more to really talk about. Is it a film you must see before you die? Yeah, I'm going to go with that. And yeah, just to kind of wrap that up, earlier Connie said I don't know why people are trashing it, and that is just merely because I saw 2 people on Facebook over the past week say that they watched Poltergeist and they thought it was terrible. And so I just told Connie that I don't think people are trashing it universally. This is a loved film, and it was a very successful film. It was just I saw 2 people.
Well, I guess it's
just
their opinion.
Yeah,
I'm sure they have good reasons for it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, not every film, you know.
But you have to take into consideration that is from '82, and I think they do a pretty good job with all the effects. The main actors in the story are really good.
Yeah, it's one of the most enjoyable horror films for me. I really love it. I'm interested to see the 3rd one, just out of interest, but I don't think it's very good. And again, the sequel just was nowhere near. And the remake as well. So for me, just the original is the one that really stands out. And you should definitely see it, I think, before you die, because it's just a really entertaining film. And that's about it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for watching.